Well, good afternoon, and it's my honor to be here. It brings back a lot of memories to have Vicki here to start off today. I was hoping she was close enough to tell me what year she came, because this is sort of like going down memory lane, and amazingly, none of us look older. The land is still here. We've gone through a lot. There are times in my personal life that I thought I'd never see half of what we've seen happen. So we could be calling ourselves the Real Survivor Show right here. Because what has led us here and been the constant star has been Dean, Mary, John, and Mark Hardy. And when Mary asked Sandra and I to come and talk, essentially it's because we live about a mile from each other, and every time something exciting happens in our neighborhood, we call up Mary and go, "Mary, you're not gonna believe this." And then Mary goes, "Are you gonna come to the conference? I'd like you to talk about that." And I went, okay. That's what got us here today. But what keeps us here and keeps us learning and using what we learned here is actually what occurred to me when the topic kind of threw my way: challenges, choices, and changes. And I'm going to spend at least 10 minutes to give you a background on how the Hardy family had their challenges, choices, and changes. Mary was a school teacher, and Dean worked as simply as he could tell me on the roads. And if you saw these two people in Allegan, you'd think there was nothing going on, except there was a lot. They went out of this town, out into the world. A lot of analogies here. I'm sure the Greeks have talked about this. And they met people, and they got stimulated, and that caused knowledge to happen. But what often happens when you're above the grade, you have people who are caught in the middle world. Here was this couple going through very strict initiation. Many of you don't realize what that would have taken for them to learn. They did it and found community. It's like anything else. You try to drift towards like-minded people. But yet imagine you're a school teacher in Little Allegan, and someone finds out that you're building a pyramid. What? She was a force of reckoning. They were a wonderful partnership. And many of you have read her book. She'll tell you how they lost time. And they'll tell you when you hear your little boy say, "I want a pyramid." And how you are two people living in Little Allegan that have to go to the school and work on that road. You go, "Yeah, okay, honey." But they were the ones that were united by something bigger than they were. And they faced challenges. Mary personally, God bless her, would go to the conferences, if it was a Dowsers or a Seven Continental. And you'd have all the doubting Thomases, and yes, they were men. There were very few women that were out there speaking. And then here would be Mary Hardy coming into the room. And I am sure on occasion they went, "Oh, not again. The pyramids are, what? A machine?" Mary endured that with a spirit that I can say I don't think I could have, but I believe, because when you're touched and you believe in what you're doing, I'm sure it's written in the annals of history. You are outside of your body doing it, and you have no choice. I followed the path of corporate America. I did very well in corporate America. I was kind. I did the best I could, and somehow or other I was waiting for something to happen, and I had my mind say there must be something more out there. There must be, you know what, I think we're more the same than we're different. And it does quite often cause upheaval in your lives. You leave behind everything you've known, I lost my job and got divorced within 3 months of that. And I said, well, I have an insurance policy. I don't need $1,500, but I need carpeting. So I'll never forget cashing in the life insurance because I went, and having the woman go, oh, okay, I can give you your money. Thank you. And I says, yeah. And she says, oh, is there a reason why you? And I told her, yeah, I lost my job and got divorced. And she went, and I went, oh, no, it's good. It really is. So you start to see reaction to you in your own little way. Challenges certainly come to you in minuscule ways. But my first encounter was a lady who said, there's these Indians and they're going to be doing something just down the road in Highland, Michigan. Do you want to go? And I went, sure. And there's where my life changed, because they had a circle. And I found myself being drawn to that circle. And they had a sweat lodge. And I found myself being drawn to that circle. And I found myself sobbing, walking around that circle, not understanding why. And everything from that moment led me to where I am today. And we are the sum total of all of our experiences. Mine cannot be yours. I cannot sit here and say I have any answers. In fact, I prefer to say I know nothing. I am nobody. And I once figured out how you get the people who try to tell you, and I apologize, to be born again off of your back. Because what I got at a vision in Sundance was a Sundance chief right in front of my face. What are you doing here? And I looked at him in this dream vision and said, I'm nobody. But if you can tell me that prayer is only yours, I will walk. I have yet to find any denomination that wants to challenge you, that you say, what are you doing here? Praying, and don't leave you alone, including people who are following you, maybe for a different reason, to find out what you're up to. So I was able to do these things by primarily finding out about myself. What Vicki does that is so important, and I found out when I started to raise children, find out about who you are first. That astrology is going to tell you, oh, I guess I can't escape that as much as you want. Astrology is very important because it's your star map. And the gifts that I started to have cross paths with Mary in 1989 when I said, I want to meet people in Michigan that can teach me things that I'm longing to learn about. And there was a place in Flint, Michigan, which was, I think it was the Integral Human Sources something, and there was a conference in Montreal, and I said, I'm gonna go. I had a 2-year-old, I didn't know how it was gonna happen. I prepared my way. I left on an adventure, which was rather exciting and my life opening up, only to realize I left every piece of paper about the conference home. So I'm in the back of the plane going, that's okay. If someone's on this plane, and I looked down the aisle and I went, there's a lady reading. Stick to her when you get off the plane, and that's how I started. The place was allowing me to feel and sense the French of Montreal. I met people that were doing past life readings. I found roommates that basically remembered being in the court of Louis XVI. It was unbelievable. And were we playing? Sure we were. But as Vicki said, it's all in how you see it. And from there, I went into the audience and found out about every world's religion. I saw gurus, I saw Hindus, I saw the Catholic charismatic movement where I went, finally they're talking to the people. I had not been born a Catholic, but I couldn't figure out why my ex-husband was upset when the priest turned around and actually looked at you, and I went, yay! So I found out a lot, and then a man came and talked about white sands. He talked about everybody's naturally a psychic, everybody's this, that, and I went, I want to meet somebody. And so I sat where I had one seat next to me and watched who sat there and couldn't take it and left. Finally, I have a man sitting there. He's doing this, and I don't know what that means, and I think he's got a credit card, and finally he looks at me, and I see Gene Logue at Acme, Michigan. And I went, hey, I'm looking for someone from Michigan. He suggested I found the Hardys. I went directly from Montreal that year to here. I came here, and in those days, this was it. Everything was, I don't know how we fit here, but we camped here, and there was Dean telling us where not to camp and where to camp. Right here. I can't believe it, because this property here was not owned by the Hardys. And that day I sat in the audience, and everybody offered things that were so interesting and introspective. And I don't think I got to see Mary that time, but as I was leaving, if you've never met Dean Hardy, we used to park back there. We used to actually camp back there too. So as I'm leaving, Dean Hardy was at the entrance to the road, and he goes like this, and he goes, you can come back anytime. I went on to do many more things. I went to Sundance. I had more. I was learning how to give away what I was taught. I end up coming back to give back, because in the way of the tribal people, you give and you receive. I remember going in the house to thank Mary and Dean and seeing all kinds of people in the house. You wouldn't believe the people getting ready in that space, occupying their home. They opened, and with their children being there. And you have to understand what they sacrificed, what they gave up, what their children, for this to happen. And I remember looking, and I remember the garbage was like not taken care of. So I quietly went around and started picking up. And Mary came up to me and she went, who are you? And I went, oh, hi, thank you, what. And I passed Doug Benjamin where this came from, and I looked him straight in the eye and I went, you're one of 12 people I'm to meet. What? And he so kindly went, okay. And he treated it, and I don't know where that, but you learn the boldness of saying what you hear. And that comes from getting out and exposing yourself to different things. So the challenges that the Hardys had for all of us to come here are recognized now as what got us to where we're going to go from here. And as transitions are happening, not in a physical form, but as the world is evolving, and I personally felt like I had been in a vice this last week, seeing everything, but I also saw and heard about what the energy did, and the energy has kept coming. And from my tribal elders, from my Toltec elder who has passed, but from my Peruvian shamanic teacher, June 21st, I was talking to Pat and Mel, and I said, gosh, this energy feels weird. And we put out this, let's find out about this. And my elder came out to announce a class for the first time in, I think, 10 years. And I knew that was important. And he was asked the question. He moved on to the Shift Network. And I said, you can do more good there. And I want to play an excerpt from Don Oscar Miraquisada talking about how natural, and he doesn't say this, but I'll share. We all know about the eagle and the condor, north and south coming together. We know about a lot of things that are going to happen. But now he described it as 3 waves of energy coming in. When he speaks, he tends to close his eyes because he's channeling. And he loves the word. So I want you to hear, as best as we can, him explain, when asked by the now, I can't say owner, but the now person that supports the Shift Network. He asked very pertinent questions about what he could talk about what's going on today. So as best I can, I'm going to let you listen to Don Oscar Miraquisada, and if anybody is interested in him after, just come and I hope I have the right one, but it's all good. He also talks about certain vowel sounds. And there was a teaching a long time ago that came to me that you could heal if you simply just said A, E, I, O, U. I was invited to Scotland, and our host says, oh, I have this tape, the old VHS. Someone in Michigan has done a study on the human heart and says that when our heart beats, I will say the movement of the heart is A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. Phenomenal to be told that, like 25 years. And it's exquisite now because if I have the right one, he's talking about meditating. This is Oscar Mira Casada.
Bring your awareness to your breath. Allowing your breath to remain effortless and natural through the nose at your own pace and tempo. As you do so, understand that your participation in this virtual gathering is a significant contribution to the unfolding of this time of re-encounter of Paripaipacha, this emergent era of becoming one harmoniously united human global family. And by stilling yourself and simply opening up without attachment to outcome, to this moment of awakening, your soul's purpose as a shining one, the medicine of our ancestors, is honored and multiplies in a good way upon planet. Now, in the shamanic traditions, there is a cosmology that is unified, and it involves the three worlds, three pachas, realms, bardos, states of consciousness. In the Andes, the superior celestial upper world is called the Hanapacha. This middle, in-between world is known as the Kaipacha. And the interior within world is known as the Ohopacha, which is not lower at all. It is simply deeper. And the sound for the upper world is E, like the Latin I. And the sound for this in-between world is Ah, as in the word, letter A, when you pronounce the word Father. And the inner vibrational acoustic frequency for the Ohopacha is U, as in the word you. E, A, U. So as you continue to breathe, mentally repeat to yourself, with every, bring your awareness to your breath.
I took an excerpt of that because he came back and through the Shift Network always offers these free offerings. This is the last one. This is only 4 minutes, but this explains kind of what's going on right now. What he's asking us to do, well, in his tradition, what his message he got. not supposed to get it. Okay, electronics and spirit world. I always am amazed at times where nothing will come through. Essentially, he's talking about what we receive right now as a culture is bits of information, a lot of bits. And what he explained was this is the time, another prophecy where we're all coming together. The place that he distinctly told about, one, unified. That is what struck out to me. We have gone through challenges. Lord knows, I thought when I retired, I was putting my feet up and that was it. And when the first, oh my God, that's never happened before. And the second, oh my God. And now we're 10, 12 years down the road. You realize what had came through introspection was we're always going to be challenged. Because in challenges, we do have changes. We can make a decision to change. We can change the way we look at something. We can change the way we act. We can change the way we choose to work and etc. But if we didn't have the challenges, we'd probably not make the changes. And I'm a firm believer that I totally agreed to come here because we do a ceremony where we're faced with, you have 1 week to live, what would you do? If you are balancing your checkbook, you might want to rethink what you could focus on. So we used to ask ourselves in the classes, and one time he told us you have 1 week to live, and I was at peace. I saw who would be there, and I saw how I was going to go, and I went, thank you. And then we're in the session, and I'm going to total darkness. I have never gone to space and saw stars. I always wondered about that. I started in 88 and 89. So I'm up there going, yay, I made it, I'm here, yay, yay, yay. And all of a sudden I see movement, and I went, what? And this humanoid looking person kind of looks at me, and I went, what? It was a female. And here comes floating next to her a humanoid looking male, and also looking, and I goes, what? And I went, oh, I get it. You want me to go back there? Are you kidding? And I said, fine. I want to be born into a family that loves me and raises me, and I want to be a wild child that runs naked, and I want to do this, and at that moment I realized I've done it every time I came back. So, no saying, why am I here? That was for me a big release. The changes and the choices we make, choices, is going to handle how you make this kind of move. And as Vicki said, the stars are aligned. When I was raised through these different tribal teachings, you don't look here, I don't talk to you, we looked at the sky. And we knew when the sky changed, something was going to change. And through Vicki, we've been able to ask every time something happened. So, as far as Mary Hardy goes, there is a good ending to that story. Dean lived a full life doing exactly what he wanted to do. And Sandra Kay here was the person that would come in when Mary had to go travel. She's got her own stories of how she got him going and got him here, because in order for him to come to the last conference, he was in the nursing home, he had to walk out. And this lady here went, okay, Dean. So we are family, we are sharing. And Mary, I was talking to Bruce, I never forget all the conferences Mary went to that I know she was ridiculed in. When Dean passed, she was on this path together. And in 2018, Bruce told me the year, I'll never forget, we came to visit Mary off conference, and she says, look what I was given. She was given this beautiful bag with all these Templar shields on it, symbols. And all I could think about was, Mary, do you know what an honor that is? Do you know, as a ridge runner opening up for what's behind us, I am so happy for you. I said, can I take a picture of that? And then she said to me, and J.J. Hertog told me, you're the only one who got it right. So, thank you. this is my part of saying, the grit of the sand makes the pearl. The universe is combining, and that, if you could see the violence out there, you'd understand. But you're never given anything that you haven't the ability to perceive. This labyrinth came to me in 1999 when I had gone through a lot of years, probably 20 years of serving an elder in the Toltec tradition. When I found the labyrinth, I knew nothing about it. It was 1999 in Colorado. It was their first coming together of the Labyrinth Society then. It no longer exists the way it once did. But it came during Columbine. And there we were at a university where we had just experienced one of the most, I would say, started this idea of what's the world coming to. And we understood by the people who knew about this pattern and were teaching us that walk the labyrinth, and we don't have to say we're sorry, we don't have to say this is how you can feel. You let them have their own walk, and they could see at least the people got relief, because what words could we have possibly had to share about that? I learned immediately I could take this symbol. Not everybody wants to learn about sun dance and sun medicine wheels, and I heard, put your moccasins up. The people of the West are hurting, and this can get you in there. I am a person that likes you to feel and be empowered. When I walk this in the hills of Colorado, I walked something that had a bunch of little flags. I really didn't even know what it looked like. That's how a dowser will lay out the pattern. But I'm facing these great mountains, and I walked it, stayed between those flags, and I got to the center, and I'm facing the mountain, and I said, Creator, I rarely ask for anything, but if you want to give me a sign. And I walked to the center, and as I came out, and I will treat this as a temple, the last steps, I walk out, looked over the mountain, and a puff of smoke went up. And I went, this is what I'll take forward. So from 1999, with additional things that I will do, I started to find out about the labyrinth. And in finding out about the labyrinth, Mary's book has a page that talks about tachyon energy. And tachyon energy put together pyramids. It put a lot of things together to explain how I saw people walking this. These little bends in this labyrinth, if you enter a labyrinth from the left, the minute that you've come to any conjuncture and you do that turn, your brain flips to the other side. It is the only tool I've ever learned about that uses both sides of the brain at once, and that always intrigued me. In this pattern, they're going to flip one more time. In this pattern, they're going to flip one more time. And in this pattern, you go to the center. If you walk any pattern, please complete it to the center. Take your time, and then you turn and you come back again. This is a simple pattern that I like to use when you're walking in. The minute you hit that first, in Mary's book, it shows the tachyon energy spins like the inside of a pyramid. I saw people do this. I saw people start to spin. I see in the middle of this labyrinth the caduceus. The caduceus, which is Mercury's staff, the messenger. This has no written history, this pattern in general, been around for 4,000 years around the world on buildings. More locally, Scandinavia has quite a bit, and of course it's attached to the witches' tales, but they know that the fishermen would walk it. They forgot what it did. I thought, well, sure, you want to know where the fish is? They were quieting. In general, if you want to make progress during these very chaotic times, go within. That is the message of what the teacher was saying. Take time to meditate. Take time every day, because I assure you, you will never get the answer in 3D. I've never known anything to come. It's where we experience it all. Let's go out. Let's take one for the team. If you can find a labyrinth, a finger labyrinth is very available. Try it for yourself, because from my 26 years of working with it, I have seen people run into it angry. I've never seen anyone come out angry. I've worked with people of all faiths and all denominations. I ask them what this means to them. I adjust to that. I say, stay up between the lines if you want to hug, whatever. If I see a traditional person walk the center, they go into past lives. Try it. You might like it. So thank you for my time here. It's been an honor to be here. And now my cohort is going to speak about how she uses energy, but then we're going to tell our special story like kids that what got us here. When we said, Mary, you're not going to believe this. This is Sandra K. Scheer.